Al pie del Ávila majestuoso, a 920 metros sobre el nivel del mar, en un valle de verde geografía que se abre de este a oeste, surge Caracas, la capital de Venezuela.
And now, our feature presentation.
You are watching a master at work.
Go get some!
What is up, everybody? My name is Rafael, así nos conoce el Capitán Rafucho, and welcome to another episode, another one of Straight Outta Nation. This is Raiders only, including all those rivals of the NFL, football, including basketball with the NBA. So, how you feeling this Thursday? Almost getting there to Friday, y'all. Now, let me tell you something, because after Thursday, Friday is going to be an epic weekend because they have an amazing sports weekend between for the college football, combat sports, including boxing, wrestling, and the NFL week number 4, including international series. So I guarantee how you're feeling about this Thursday. Almost getting the smell of Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Almost getting there. Make sure to subscribe to Capitán Rafucho on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on different social media. On YouTube, Capitán Rafucho. On Twitter, as known as at Capitán Rafucho. On Instagram, at Capitán Rafucho 93. On Kick, at Capitán Rafucho. And if you want to help and support this platform, this channel, you can make a donation by Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. All financial help is appreciated. All right, so let's get it started with the comments before I have to do it. What's going on? Protect the Shield podcast. Salute, Rafa. Salute to you, my brother. Protect the Shield. Also, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Salute to you. Now, where can we start it right now? Because there was a lot of things to ban it out between Las Vegas Raiders versus Washington Commanders, or the Washington national team, or the Redskins. Yeah, to make sure all. Because I don't know what exactly where we started. Because it's been a fucking nightmare. It's been a fucking nightmare since last Sunday. And even I was able to break a TV because I can't, but I had to generalize the money, well, not to spend another TV broken, but but I'm pretty confident after the Sunday game is all there. Chip Kelly's team doesn't really work for that team. It's a lot deeper than the online playing, because we will stick how is bad is the offensive line. The Sean team doesn't work with who we have. We've been never huge on to begin with. But the right personnel, it can work well. We simply don't have that runs can go one way typically. That means that all the safeties can cheat the run with their talent of lacking. We're not pushing those guys to the line for scrimmage. And we're really getting to the second level. If we can do two things, then we can have one with the one safety. Because I really like those roles for Justin Genty. Asking Colton, the trap block, is ridiculous. Asking Mayer and Ian to each block at his tight ends is a very, very tall line as well. But the coaching about Pete Carroll I mean, that's the only thing that I was worried. It's not having Jackson Powers Johnson locked in. I know he's been injured, but having him as a complete with Alice Kappa is absolutely freaking fucking joke. Kappa made the worst starting online in the E-League, and Jackson Powers Johnson pushes those guys on their ass and creates space. Something we don't have at all, except with culture. The middle it fits is having Jackson Powers Johnson at center and shift Meredith to guard. Meredith did well at the spot last year. And even if they stuck on having Meredith at center, fine. But Jackson Powers Johnson needs to get out of there. They need to get out of here. I'm not like a coach, something like that, for crying out loud, but Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly are doing us dirty right now. Because some of those guys, they have faith. Some of those guys, they don't. Because I have a faith to actually make adjustments sooner or later. His college style offense, it will work for that team, which is Las Vegas Raiders. And I think we'll see it that adjust. If not, we're deep in trouble if somehow the offensive line can figure things out. Because I think some of those persons are blowing Pete's compete comment way out of proportion. Because he's been about competition from day one. And remember this, Jackson Powers Johnson missed most all for the last week with the concussion. And Jackson Powers Johnson made some bad mistakes when he was playing this season. Look, if Jackson Powers Johnson wants to be locking in, then he should earn it. Based on the performance season, he hasn't earned shit so far. Because if JPG is good as we like to think, they should easily win the competition against Kappa. And that organization has been consistent for many years. But the big part is the online. What's going on, Westside Media? They just said it right. We just suck, bro. That is all. Yep. We fucking suck. We having the same bullshit over and over and over again. And there is no way to end this. There is no way to end this. If we can make some adjustments, they were probably good. But how? How in this situation coming up there? How? Because the only talent is weak aside from Miller and maybe Jackson Powers Johnson if he can get better. The sheep isn't bad, but the zone doesn't seem to be work to all the strengths we have. And coaching is just like a head scratcher because the line looks like one of the first 3 games with minimal communication adjustments not being made. But I'll try to be really nice and try to bend. There's too many new pieces, multiple schemes, coaches, coordinators in the last years, too many different visions, constructions, general managers over same years, and it keeps going on and on and on and on. If you guys remember, Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler promising to the season number 2022-2023, they promised us to take it to the land of Super Bowl. And what happened? With the coaching style of Josh McDaniels, it doesn't work. And Dave Ziegler, nada. Doesn't work. I remember when Antonio Pierce came here along with Tom Telesco. Nothing. It doesn't work at all. Because if you guys remember, the first time that Antonio Pierce coached for an entire season in 2024, including the trap game against Carolina Panthers, with the backup quarterback Andy Dalton, simply doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. And the turnover since 2003 is just insane. We will never have a competitive team until there is continuity for 4-6 years. That means a lot. That means a lot. Because we have a mixed bag of personnel who draft the one scheme and off defense, and then in the mid-season of the next year, we switch the scheme. Mark Davis needs to just stick with Pete and the general manager for at least 3 years. At least we will draft a specific system scheme for both sides and we can move on with a new regime that used our personnel if we had to. if we had to. What the media says correct. We're running some system with power personnel. That is true. That is absolutely true. But it's probably like in the midst of a tree. The new regime see already all the details that will look very differently when it comes to October, November. But I gotta tell it for this one. It really starts with talent. Because we don't have really much. He didn't have much. Crosby, Bowers, Jacoby, Chin, Miller, Cole, Carson are only all stand-up players. Everybody else is pretty average, including Geno Smith, because I haven't seen a lot of plays with Geno Smith about the throwing, and it seems he needs to work it out with his arm technique. West I made it to say, we will be drafting top 5 this coming draft, which is 2026. It is in April. But I guarantee that it could be the moment to hit the panic button. I don't think so. I don't really think so. But what I say about talent, everyone else is pretty average. No matter it sucks or don't. That's not much talent. You can bring any coach you want or run any team you want, and when you get there, once more talent development happens, then we can assess the coaching schemes. They know Cade, and we all know is a good coach. His body of work shows, but he has to give it like a weird cupboard, and his staff, John Spitek, have a lot of work to do. That's the bottom 10 team. And all the fans talk themselves over hyper here. Hype it up. And next year should be much better as this young team get a year under this belt, and Peter Spitek bring those guys. They like to fit their system instead of having like keep and play guys or another regime's players. And that is true. Because I understand they should be started for a mid and going from there, and not completely because getting bullied by 4 guys every down. But what can I say about it? I really understand that Jackson Powers Johnson needs to get back, but Kappa, maybe the starting, the worst starting online for the league. It is true. I mean, Jackson Powers Johnson should win the playing time easily. It's never absolutely a joke to say a player hasn't earned that time. And I guarantee that will be changed at all. That will be changed at all. Because we've been consistent for many years, and I don't know what's going to happen for the Nets one. I mean, even I just watched all the recent clips, including the deception phase of Max Crosby. But between that, I really understand that some players only leans about like pass rush moves, passing it over and over. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we get Max Crosby. He's instantly productive with the Red Lane Smothers. And I know he's get doubled and tripled with the tall often. But if you watch very closely in several games, it seems that his toolbox is limited compared to some of the top tier A rushers. It's usually like those players that got the inside spin, the lower arm bull rush, the outside speed rush and dip. Obviously, he's alive any time and effort, and he wins plenty of hauls in the strength. But we are missing something. Does he really miss in more counters that it can stand up as much? Or just really doing like a few things that are certainly like high level, like having 6-7 polished moves? I mean, if they compare about like the defensive edge of the league, I mean, his bag is not that really deep as Myles Garrett. Also not physically gifted. Having 3 moves as an issue was effective. So the current regime cannot fit those years of bad drafting and personal decisions in one off the season. And all the seasons became really bad. And trust me, we've been dealing with a lot of bad juju all over those years it is still the same. It's still the same. And between for like the press conference that I just saw it, what can I tell you about this? It became like a really disaster. But I don't really understand why they look like a lying John Kelly up there at the end of the year that was looking fine for McCormick. But I find worrisome that our 2-3 rounder linemen, it seems like really bad enough, they can get playing overtime over Alice Kappa. But after we've been seeing like the press conference, here's an idea. How about a new person, not of the team, we send them to play center? And the some part is, I don't think it's better anyone in free agency. Because sometimes they get the point of Pete Carroll is getting tiresome with the stuff, but JPG was out for 2 weeks. He had concussion that kept him out of the second and third week was a short week with no pads, so they keep it out. They were really careful with him. They went to a long term so we can really think that they could be the best for week 1. Somehow all the shitty play, the defense, the special teams, all comes down now being centered. If we're competitive for the last 2 weeks, we were nearly as lost. We are to the point that where people explaining why Alston Gentry isn't a bust. For me, it's not a bust. Because all over those years, we've been drafted the best tight end in college football. And then we had the best running back in college football, which is Brock Bowers and Alston Gentry. And all the people that say, oh, Alston Gentry is a bust. So I don't really think so. Because the biggest issue that we have right now is the defense. I know defense is a problem. Offense is a shit show. And everybody is a couple of bad games away from saying that game has passed Pete by. One bad game away from saying he doesn't know what he's doing. And we already are questioning about his decisions and personal choices. But what is so hard to all these people to accept that Jackson Powell-Johnson doesn't have enough working knowledge of the offense to be basically the captain of the line? They need to start forcing things that are not there. And what about Meredith? Meredith was one of the highest grades guard last season. Why would you change that position where you know that your offensive line needs the best players out there and is clearly like a better guard and center? Why the fuck will you move Max Crosby to nose tackle? I don't want to see the logic. It doesn't work. Because you want to put JPG in the center because he's a leader on the ball. Does he understand the center calls better? Really? The pressure is coming for everyone. Parham sucks. Meredith sucks. Alice Kappa sucks. Replacing your worst guard with your best guard and having JPG play through some mistakes is much appealing than watching this online block. Meredith can only make whatever calls he's making for a guard. But as a coach, I just wanted to tell you this. Let's try to fix this trial and error. And I'm like, do we have a feeling he has got a repeat of last year's Saints change quarterback who's behind Gino? Aiden? I don't know. And there is Kenny Pickett. Because they don't want to waste precious seconds on the ball going through the quarterback hands straight to Gentry. And then it's going to be like a problem. I don't know. But it seems that about for like the case of JPJ, as known as Jackson Powers-Johnson, moving around those positions doesn't make any sense. We're simply missing simple stunts and twins and pass pro with Meredith making the right shift calls. Now, how do you want to run the line with the wrong calls? That's my question. Seeing how JPJ, as known as Jackson Powers-Johnson, caused a fumble last year where he snapped the ball to Aiden O'Connell off his ass when we lost in Oregon. I could have seen the concern with him playing center. I was disappointed. If this is the case, he did get better off season. Then again, new coaching, new things to learn. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm really thinking. Because I know that some things, they couldn't make any sense. So Pete Carroll, after the press conference, I will tell you for this one, stop trying to change in all positions. It's not going to happen. Because if you wanted to make the offense and defense play, let those players not to be shifted to another positions to learn. Let them be with the original positions. Let Jackson Powers Johnson be the original position that we had to. All right? Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. And I understand between for like Pete Carroll, because I just wanted to talk about Pete Carroll and the nepotism of his son, Brennan Carroll. And about like all of the decisions coming up there. Because I understand. The major point that he made is calling up for like JPG should call play center. We won last time when JPG played right guard and Gino almost record high yards. And we're going to the week number 4. And Jackson Powers Johnson at right guard didn't play for 2 weeks. The ones we lost. But they're giving up for like the season way too early. I don't think so. Because we have a lot of bright spots in our team, and those things can really fit it all. I mean, those high grades for the line for the last year, and let's check it out for the stats. The worst rushing performance of the team history, our leading rusher had sub 50 yards in the final 4 weeks. And we were crushing it with Philby. Also, we can ignore allowing the 7 more sacks in the league. The line was terrific, but if you can ignore not having success, run or pass blocking, there comes the analytic grades. Last year, we sucks. No change. That year, it still sucks. It's not that hard. But we got to prepare for a long season. That is true. That is true, Westside Media. That's a real fact. JPG is playing guard because he's the best fit there. And I will tell you for this one to be Carroll. Not to switch positions. Just stay in those positions right there belong. Right there belong. And maybe the system is not really broken. Maybe being a great coach is building a system that he can adapt the person rather than falling apart when person who is missing. And let's take for one example. If you guys remember, San Francisco 49ers was known as Bam Bam Booty Gang. I hate the 49ers. You guys remember Christian McCaffrey? He was the workhorse for the 49ers. The offense still functions without him, Kittle, George Kittle as known as a tight end, or Brock Purdy. But they sure cannot win a Super Bowl without any of these three. But they can still compete. Maybe it's not the great comparison of the really good teams over the years that's also struggling with injuries hit their own line. It definitely makes sense because some of those persons, they have much expectation on the brand name. I still believe in this regime. I still believe in this organization. But the reality check is we need more talent. Also, I believe that we eventually rebound the offensive line. It's not that easy, but I don't see like any major changes coming up for the current grid for the season. Maybe not shuffle many positions, which Pete shut it down immediately today. But we draft 2 rookies can step in the next year. And the FO will like repeat the process. If this was the plan, this year the offensive line was a priority. Maybe they can spend money on next year free agent. But this is who we struggled with last year. I realize that some of those persons, they don't make all the decisions. Or is the GM, the general manager, of each team making the final call? But we should don't have built for trenches for years through the draft. And assume that's what the plan is. I think we're not being capable for seeing like a competent FO looks like him freaking us out. It definitely looks like freaking it out. What's that mean to say? If we can get right this week, we'll have actually turning around. If we lose, it's a wrap. 1 win and 3 losses will be difficult to recover from. And I understand there's a lot of fans because, check this out. All over for the week number 4, there is a lot of fans who've been struggling about 0-3. Check for example, New York Giants. They start with no wins and 3 losses. Thanks to who? Ryan DeBall. And of course, they have Mara. Some of those players had great talent, but the coaching system is broken. Yep, it's broken. Roy Pena, salute to you. Rafael, let's fucking go. Raiders. They just say the right correct. Fits the online, please. I mean, it's not going to be really easy because it's like my main concern about the offensive line. Because they've been through at least training camp and preseason games, now 3-week regular season, and it still looks terrible. They look like shit. And Pete's talking about development, but Brandon Carroll doesn't have the resume of developing talent. I think Brennan should be an assistant offensive line coach and have a line coach has been more NFL experience. I just find it crazy that Nick Carroll has way more experience than Brennan and is assistant quarterback coach. I hope the season even improving wrong, but some people don't have faith in Brandon Carroll developing a better offense. And check out all these persons. They want Brandon Carroll gets fired. Yep, they gets real deal. Hey, salute to Mrs. Thomas 0309. Also, we got rid of Rob, Sergio Segura, so thank you very much. So, I understand that Jackson Powell Johnson is better than Alex Cap. The offense was built around the unicorn. When the unicorn is a unicorn, the offensive line is not good enough. And certainly minus Jackson Powell Johnson to impose his will upon the opponents. I mean, standing up for like a good front seven is really tough for even good all lines, let alone against the Chargers. But if this offense is going to struggle, let's see how we do against the Chicago Bears. But I think we have an opportunity to win every week. I do think that, well, against Chicago Bears, it comes down for who get the front quicker. I don't think that either team is strong enough to make a big comeback behind what happened. If we can get up 10, we can ride that. But who knows? Who knows about it? I mean, at the end of the time, we still suck. We still suck, but we need to improve it. We need to improve it. And to look to the other side, we're still on the second place, technically, in the weak-ass American Football Conference. Because I know we can change it at all. West Ham media say, either change the seam or get some blocking linemen. What we are doing is like putting a Tesla engine on a 1978 Civic and wondering why it won't work. That's a fact, Aaron. That's a fact, West Side Media. Because somehow, I mean, some changes around for those positions, it doesn't really work. Doesn't really work. I mean, and for that reason, you just earned the best comment of the evening. The best comment of the afternoon. Did I just say this? Either change the seam or get some blocking linemen. What we are doing is like putting a Tesla engine on a 1978 Civic and wondering why it won't work. There you go right now. There you go. There you go. But talking about like the conference, look at the bright side. Chiefs, Ravens, Broncos, half of the conference are within one game of us. And Los Angeles Chargers, even though that I don't like the Chargers, they look legit. But they always catch injury bug. Also, they're the Chargers. The line is obviously the biggest weakness. But are we going to tell there's a big difference between like the 3-0 Colts and the 1-2 Raiders? The first quarter of the season is a muse. They make all sexy pumba, but it's mostly fleeting. But if we are going to go like 2-2 with two tough road games against two Super Bowl contenders, pretty successful. But if we can start like 1-3, the sky is going to fall. Now, welcome to the early draft position. Because not to really much around this. But we're just getting off. We're just getting offered for a long time. And what just happened? We would get enough. Nothing. Our offensive line, I mean, it really sucked. At this point, give the rookies who draft a chance. You cannot sustain a modern NFL offense with no run blocking. Every solution must be exploring. We won win games this year. But can someone point out that year that when Pete put together a top 10 offensive line? He's been at the NFL for decades and never did that once. And I assume that Jim has more strategic, and the fact that we're paying him much as Pete, he should have taken control and fits in the mess. But why do we not have to invest a good line? I know we don't have a Super Bowl window, but a good line dramatically will raise the floor of the team. But what coach can make Capper good? No. None of it. Because whenever he got hit with ankle and knee injuries, he hasn't been the same player since. I really trust about Pete Carroll. They were almost getting there. But to be honest right now, I do not trust with the online. I remember when Pete Carroll was in Seattle. He had a horrible offensive online with him, and I don't think this is included here. Hopefully, after another bad game, he'll change something up. There's some I know we're bad that our coaches suck. We're all gonna be bad that our coaches are gonna be suck. Yep. But we had the same person in last season. Towards the end of the season, with Jackson Powell-Johnson at center, we're far better we are now. It's about coaching. This line won't rival our all great lines, but it could be much better than it is right now. And there are some things can't be true. Some things can be true. May players made worse by terrible scheming coaching is the same online players as last year. Some regression can maybe check it up, or maybe learn out the new scheme, but they look definitely worse if it continues on coaching. Because we may not know what good football looks like, but we all sure that it's going to be bad, and people are fucking up. We will see about for the next year. Should be a huge change of around. If not, they're going to start to do. And everyone outside for the fans, they're saying Colton Miller suck. And Jackson Powers-Johnson is actually good. And I think most of the us are positive about Jackson Powers-Johnson not getting love from the staff. If it's not behind the scenes stuff, that is absolutely ridiculous that it's not playing. It's not playing, for God's sake. I mean, the coaches have been acting like they don't know about ball. It's all about basics. It's all about everything. All about it. All about it. Because it's not about maths. It's not about chemistry. It's not about everything. But after Saul, like we went saw between Las Vegas Raiders versus Washington Commanders, why in the actual fuck are we doing? And sometimes we had to laugh our own pain. I understand. I understand that it was just like, man, this team really sucks. So we need to get improved a lot more. We need to get anything better. Yes, indeed. Indiana Jones has a coach looking nice, which is Daniel Jones, as one of the former player from New York Giants. We mind with stereotyping college players, and that's fact. Pete never has good on lines. Chip Kelly is forcing square pegs into circle holes is not shaming to our strengths if we can any. Didn't say. I think at this point it's all about the Eagles. Eagles and everything. The West Side Media say, I told everyone months ago that Jim Kelly concerns me deeply. Nobody wants to listen. I really understand about that because I think that some persons can really love or hate him, but at the end of the day, who's telling the truth? Everybody knows the truth. Everybody knows the truth about it. So that's right. For opinion to say, just got off the phone with Jack Hanna. Also, saludos to Jack Hanna. They were saying the same thing. If you or Aaron we don't win against the Bears, season will be done. Well, if things could be really changed against Chicago Bears, I mean, if we got 2-2, definitely is gonna start the changing all the things. But it's not gonna be really easy at all. So they just sent me an image. They just sent me a photo, which is like really amazing to watch. And when I just saw the reel of Joe Morley, I mean, that makes everything. So check this out because I'm going to pass the photo right. All right, this says right now, attention. If you're overweight, big, or able to get in someone one way, please report at 8 a.m. to the Raiders facility to offensive line tryouts. I mean, if you're big, if you're like overweight, and you're ready to rock and roll, then this is going to be the opportunity to get involved with a brand new offensive line tryouts. And if you can make it, congratulations. If you cannot make it, well, there's always trying. But I know. The raw opinion to say Pete Carroll needs to fire his son. I agree with that because a lot of those fans, they need Brandon Carroll needs to get fired. And I really understand. Our opinion to say, or demote him. There's somebody to say, I'm on my way, bucked up shoulder and all. Because to be honest right now, I mean, I understand the offensive line. It definitely sucks. I can work it as a cornerback or maybe like a backup quarterback because I know if you see like all those videos getting working out for the NFL combined because I'm still working out the gym because I can do like a backup quarterback. I can do as a quarterback or maybe cornerback. But when it comes to like the big guys, they really need to work as an offensive line, the defense, like left guard, right guard, guard, center, defensive tackle, defensive edge, to hell with Max Crosby. That would be really impressive. The West Side Media say, I think the problem is more Chip Kelly than Brandon Carroll. Now, there's going to be some interesting facts. Because I understand that some persons, they don't want to see like Brandon Carroll or Chip Carroll or maybe Chip Kelly to be like the issue on it. But to be honest right now, for the case of Brandon Carroll, they definitely needs to boot. Because, first and foremost, the online is worse than I thought it's going to be. They're giving Gino enough time or Genti space to run. Because the play calling is questionable, along with Chip Kelly. But isn't Phyllis still on staff? They're going to take over. Second of all, turning another game, they're going to play some beta games. What a waste of game. The hype levels for the rest of the year are below zero. And this is like another case of nipple bait. Dude, he's fucking incompetent. Well, Spytek did him zero favors, just taking an entire line with fucking bombs, and DJ Glaze is the worst tackle that I ever see. Gets pushed by a little girl, no heart, no effort, weak and slow. But it's just like, I don't know, Tom Cable? They definitely needs to get the boot. And that's right. This may be the worst online the recent memory. Can anyone name one that is worse than this year? I'll wait. That is true. That is really true. But I really think that the son of Pete Carroll, Brandon Carroll, offensive line coach, but about the nepotism, nope, it's not going to work a lot of this. And some of those fans are not trying there to defend the nipple hires. But what was any coach magically going to change about the unit? I don't know. Literally, anyone on the line was here last year. And I think that's we blew it for the first pick. I'll add Aston Genty, but I think the online man will be a bigger impact. And once they pick Genty, I figured out the secondary will be like a starting online. But I thought that bringing an experienced head coach who say, will we and win now, well, we didn't make a team. I mean, our online has sucked for like 5 years. Basically, since they let Hudson walk and used James to replace him, he's been coaching with Pitt since 2002. Consistently been a part for the games that have won 2 national championships and the Super Bowl. He's been an offensive coordinator in college when he also became the online coach. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is an online competency. And online, the run games are incredibly independent. If you look at another team, look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're number 6 in yards before contact and first in yards per carry. Liam Coleman is also team took a great run with a pretty mediocre operation online. And by the way, Ben Johnson-Spears in the first in yard before contact is very concerned that our run blocking is bad with a new coach. Our quarterback needs to get the shit together and stop holding the damn ball that we can get. He have an overall of 3 seconds to throw. Those are plenty of fucking time in the NFL. The online give fine Geno time to throw. And Pete saw it. He saw it at the press conference. A few don't satisfy Geno's fault being journey on the pocket and missing the reads. As for the run game, they need to be better. But it's only 2 games. Always 2 games. And we're literally 1-1. Going for the interweek number 3. Can we please get the love a little bit with established narratives? What actually we're gonna do? We're gonna do. Our opinion they say, sure, can't. And our opinion say, and I've been a fan since 1976. That is right. Whereas I made it to say, even the line was from the Randy Moss years was better than this. Geno's not to blame. I agree. It's not to blame. It's about blaming the coaching system, the running team of Chip Kelly and Brendan Carey. Well, opinion say maybe learn how to tackle again defense. That is true. He has an average of like 0.4 seconds to throw. That is true. But the fact is, at the end of the day, the online has been tried for a couple of years. Pete Carroll's son's coaching didn't change who was on the roster. It's also only 2 games of the season. If there's like any improvement through the year into the next season, you can blame nepotism. Right now, you're blaming nepotism for errors that happened for years before Carroll's name was even floated as a coaching option. And there's not enough sample size yet. Some of those teams, they have great secondary defensive concept. Geno handled the ball for a while, but it's tough to judge without seeing more games. some people, they're not blamed for Brennan, especially for only 2 games. And it goes for the tree. Spencer chooses to rebound the roster of the way to the draft, development, and now expanding in free agency. We had the same guys from the last year, and we're actually better off than we were for the last year. And I think a lot of persons blame the online too much. And yes, our online is not the best, but I feel like it's better on paper than the line when Jacobs putting out like 1,006 yards. And the coaching is the biggest factor. And how this shit is going to line up for the past couple of seasons. We play one bad team and one good team. We have a lot of chance to be like at the games against the good team. Give a look at a chance. But if we don't develop immediately, that is over. It's over. It's over. JPJ and Glazer are 2 games into their second season. The Rogers and Grant are just getting started as the rookies. They need to analyze the entire team at the end of the season. Whether we win 1 game or 10 games, no reasonable person should be expecting a miracle turnaround for the offseason. And no draft class has been great for the first 2 games into the rookie season. That's what they call prospects. That's what they call prospects at all. Howdy, Sean. Salute to you, Sean. Salute to you, Sean. All right, so I know that I've been talking for a while, and I've been dropping gems since like I was on freestyle. But there was one last thing that I just wanted to close it off this show, because I know this is a Thursday reaction and we're not getting ready to the panic bottom. I'm not really sure. But I've been saw like one of those videos that one of the most incredible content creators of the Radio Nation is learning Spanish. And I've been seeing like some of those videos practicing the Spanish class. But let me tell you something. The only person who can provide a play-by-play by Spanish is this guy. Capitán Rafucho, Rafael Chacin, Raf in the building. You can count on them. Because over the last few years, I'm providing play-by-play in Spanish in different NFL games, including Las Vegas Raiders with New England Patriots, which it gives me a lot of great attention coming up there. And I love it. And I just wanted to tell you, not many persons is too much easier to learn another language. Because I understand we're speaking English all the time. We're speaking English all the time because I know this is the United States. But if you can learn a lot of language that you actually love, you had to learn it. Because I understand that some persons, they can speak like a broken Spanish, but they don't know how to use it. Listen, I've been in several things because I know that I can speak both languages, which is English and Spanish. But the fact is, I mean, I can teach some persons about like the real thing about the Spanish slang, Spanish bad words, some Spanish words that I just got it. I mean, I bring all the fire on it. I bring all the fire. And to be honest right now, I just wanted to tell just like a simple message to the GOAT 209, as known as El Chivo 209. I just wanted to tell you. And I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you, GOAT, but your Spanish class is doing great. And maybe I can teach you some more. Because I know that I can teach you some Spanish slang from different countries like Colombia, Argentina, Chile, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Panama, because I learn a lot of different accents. Because I know that I live in the East Coast, North Carolina, Charlotte, and there is a lot of persons with Latino roots from Mexico, Panama, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina, Also, there's a people from Spain. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. But you had to understand about like the importance of the Spanish language. You gotta have to realize that you can hear it, you can talk, but also you can feel it in your DNA. I know the Raider Nation, it's all about tradition. It's all about unity. It's all about equality. Because it doesn't matter if you're Black, Asian, Native American, white, Hispanic, we all bleed in the same. We all bleed in the same in civil and Black. And that's why the Raider Nation, it became one of those teams that represents everything. It all represents la raza of all Latinos. That's what I'm saying. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here because right now I gotta run some errands coming up there because I know that I was working at the coffee bar over this time. Yeah, because I've been working up since 6 a.m. and it's not that really easy at all. Not that really easy at all. But I'm really glad that I just came back to work and earn some money. So I'm gonna make it right. I'm gonna make it right. So thank you very much. And remember, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Capitán Rafucho on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on different social media. Twitter is known as @ Capitán Rafucho. On Instagram, @ Capitán Rafucho 93. On Kick, @ Capitán Rafucho 93. So there's all social media coming out there. And if you want to help to support this channel, this platform, you can make a donation on PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. All financial help is very grateful. So I just wanted to tell you, thank you guys for joining at another episode of Straight Outta Nation, because this is all about Raider Nation, including all the rivals in the NFL and a little bit of basketball and college football, to be honest right now. All right, so I just wanted to tell you before I leave right now, we got some interesting games coming up there for the week number 4. And one of them is going to be like the battle between 2-1, which is Seattle Seahawks versus Arizona Cardinals. Shout out to Ben Davis and Eddie Law, one of my brothers in MMA Twitter, well, the MMA community. All right, so this week is going to be really important because they have one international game. One international game at the Croke Park in Dublin, Ireland, which is going to be Minnesota Vikings versus Pittsburgh Steelers at 9:30 a.m. Yep. Also, they got, check this out, because I understand that some reason they had to do it. They have Washington Commanders versus Atlanta Falcons, Los Angeles Chargers versus New York Giants, Tennessee Titans versus Houston Texans, Philadelphia Eagles versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Carolina Panthers versus New England Patriots, New Orleans Saints versus Buffalo Bills, Cleveland Browns versus Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars versus San Francisco 49ers, Indianapolis Colts versus Los Angeles Rams, Chicago Bears versus Las Vegas Raiders, Baltimore Ravens versus Kansas City Chiefs, Green Bay Packers versus Dallas Cowboys, and for Monday, they have New York Jets versus Miami Dolphins and Cincinnati Bengals versus Denver Broncos. So that's it for today. And of course, there's a special surprise coming up there because tonight I'm going to bring a special interview for MMA prospect before his debut on this Saturday on UFC Bird Fight Night. And of course, I'll be bringing back the Combat Club with my co-host Zion Senate at 10 p.m. Eastern Time because you never, and I guess it's going to be the special get is because it's going to be a surprise. But thank you very much. Like Gustavo Cerati says, díselo. Thank you all. And of course, just like Al Davis, just win, baby. And we're out of here. So thank you very much. You're there very soon.